You guys ready? Fred, you ready?
You're good to go.
Righty, thank you. I've got 2 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners. I'll ask everyone to please stand. I'll ask Commissioner Peacock to lead us with a word of prayer and ask you to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance afterwards.
Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come together today to conduct business, to enhance the lives of the citizens of our county. We thank you that you have afforded us the opportunity to live in the greatest country on earth. We pray that the things we do at our county level will only make this a better country. Lord, we pray that you will give us wisdom and guidance so that all decisions here today that are made will be in your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of County Commissioners meeting today. We've got a fairly lengthy agenda, so we'll try to move through it a little rapidly. Will Andy, we have any additions or deletions on the agenda?
We have one addition under section 4, number 18, request board approval to award RFQ 23-08 strategic planning consultant.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the
So moved,
addition.
Mr. Chair.
A motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving down to section 1, recognitions, resolutions, and presentations. Item number 1 is a request for board adoption of a proclamation. Ms. Daniels.
I'm going to ask Ms. Lessinger to come up for this item and share the proclamation with the board.
Thank you, Ms. Daniels. So this is a request to approve a proclamation to establish March 6th through the 13th as Flood Awareness Week in Jackson County. We participate in the National Flood Insurance Program, and through that we can provide premium discount rates for our citizens that live in a flood zone. And I'll read the proclamation. Whereas Jackson County has experienced severe weather in the past in the form of extreme rainfall, tropical system events, resulting in flooding in local rivers and lakes. And this flooding has caused damage and flood losses to homes and buildings in the areas, whether they are high-risk special flood hazard areas or low to moderate risk flood zones. And whereas Jackson County Board of County Commissioners is a voluntary participant in the National Flood Insurance Program that provides residents with the opportunity to protect themselves against flood loss through the purchase of flood insurance at reduced insurance premium rates, as well as setting higher regulatory standards to reduce the flood risk and potential flood damage to their property. And whereas the reduction of loss of life and property damage can be achieved when appropriate flood preparedness, control, and mitigation measures are taken before a flood. And whereas public education and awareness of potential weather hazards and methods of protection are critical to the health, safety, and welfare of residents, the Florida Floodplain Managers Association have declared the week of March 6th through 13th, 2023 as Flood Awareness Week to promote awareness and increase knowledge of flood risk, the availability of flood insurance, flood protection methods, and how to prepare for emergencies. Sorry, my voice is shaking. Now, therefore, we, the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim March 6th through 13th, 2023 as Flood Awareness Week in Jackson County, and further encourage the citizens of Jackson County to increase their knowledge of how to protect themselves and their property from flooding.
Okay, thank you very much, Wendy.
Thank you.
Question?
I do have a question, but I'm going to make a motion to go ahead and approve this resolution. Don't run off.
Got a motion to approve the proclamation.
Right.
Chair Lynn, second. I got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Question from Commissioner Peacock.
Ms. Wendy, we're talking about floods and flood awareness. As you know, on the eastern side of Jackson County, flooding is a real problem.
Yes, sir.
Are we applying for any funding to help alleviate that through cleaning out our drainage ditches and everything? I know that, Evan McAllister had applied for some, and they were doing it in Mariana and everything, but no one's considering us, our unincorporated areas, and they're our citizens too.
So the cities and municipalities have to apply on their own. So through our floodplain in the unincorporated areas, we have no agreements with any of the cities, so we just do unincorporated. However, I'm not sure if Hunter may have some information because he's with the LMS.
I just want to make sure that if there's money out there, we're going after it because it is a problem.
Yeah, so it's on our list, and as it comes up, like it's getting higher on the list, yeah.
On which list is that, Hunter?
Sorry, that's probably,
Okay.
we have to kind of go in order by order there, right?
Yeah.
First.
So as we're completing those projects ahead of that, it's basically moving up the list.
You have a list? I'll stop by and see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the proclamation, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. That concludes section number 1, moving to section number 2, which is a public hearing. Item number 1 is board review and approval of a general development order for Project TAP. Ms. Lamb, before we move into the public hearing.
Yes, this is a request for general development order to construct the 10,496 square foot building to be used as a semi-truck center and park store and construction of a 72,306 square foot vehicular use area. The proposed project is going to be located at 2530 Dillmore Road. And on February 20th, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. We'll close out our regular meeting and open up a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience needing to speak either for or against the issuance of this development order? Seeing no hands in the audience, Fred, is there anyone online indicating a need to speak on this issue?
If anyone online would like to speak for or against this issue, they may use the raised hand feature on Zoom or *9 if dialed via telephone. I see no hands.
Thank you. We'll close out the public hearing, go back into our regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. We approve this request.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions? Clarifications, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 2 under the public hearing is the board review and approval of a small scale plan amendment. Ms. Daniels.
Yes, on January 13th, 2023, Love's Travel Stop and Country Store submitted a request for a small scale amendment for a land use change of 6.3 acres from conservation to commercial. This parcel is located on the north side of Dillmore Road, approximately 903 feet east of the intersection of Highway 231 and Dillmore Road in unincorporated Jackson County. On February 6, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the small scale amendment to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay. We'll go ahead and close out this regular meeting, open up a public hearing to hear any comment from the public on this small scale amendment. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak either for or against the small scale plan amendment? Have no one in the audience, Fred? Anyone online indicating desire to speak?
Just a reminder to use the raise hand feature on Zoom or *9 via telephone. I see no hands.
Thank you, Fred. With no one in the audience or online wishing to speak either for or against this small scale plan amendment, we'll close out the public hearing, open up our regular meeting again. What is the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the small scale amendment and adopt the proposed ordinance and authorize you to sign.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions? Clarifications, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That completes section number 2. Moving into section 3 on our agenda, which is community development. Item number 1 will land as a board review of a variance from Jackson County Code of Ordinances.
You'll give me 1 minute. We did not read the title of the ordinance on the previous item.
Okay. You want to go ahead and back up and read that?
I'll just put it on the record. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 91-6, which adopted the Jackson County Comprehensive Plan to provide for the adoption of a certain small scale future land use map amendment to the Jackson County Comprehensive Plan, providing for severability and for repealer, providing for an effective date. Mr. Chairman, I would just ask you to reopen
Public
for
hearing.
any.
Yeah, we'll close out our regular scheduled meeting, go back into a public hearing to consider this ordinance. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak for or against the ordinance as read? Seeing no hands in the audience, Fred, is there anyone online wishing to speak for or against the ordinance as read by our attorney?
Just a reminder to use the raise hand feature on Zoom or *9 via telephone. I see no hands.
Okay, we'll close out the public hearing, go back into a regular meeting. Do we need to vote on that? The ordinance, we don't need to vote on that again, do we? I mean,
You already took the
just got
vote.
it. Okay. Well, then moving back to section 3, the board review of the variance, Ms. Daniels.
Yes, so on October 26, 2022, staff received a request from Catherine Garcia for approval of a variance from the Jackson County Code of Ordinances, section 42-4557, in order to allow a manufactured home to be placed on her property on Lot 8, Block 117, Unit 4 in Compass Lake and the Hills subdivision, which does not allow mobile homes. The parcel associated with the request is Jackson County. I will not read the parcel, but it's in your book. 3050 Southern Boulevard. The applicant has stated the reason for the variance request is to have safe and affordable housing. On February 20th, no, let me back up. On December 5th, 2022, the Planning Commission tabled the request to give the applicant 60 days to see if she qualified for government financial assistance. On February 20th, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended denial to the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners.
Okay. How is the request for government financial assistance tied to variance?
Wendy, do you want to come up and speak to, or Amber? I don't know which one is more appropriate. Amber, why don't you?
Your code does allow you to make exemptions for hardships, and that may be where
Okay.
that's coming in.
Excuse me.
Your code allows you to make to grant a variance based on a hardship, and that's probably where that's coming in.
Yes, sir. And because we have housing programs available, because we're aware of the different types of housing programs that are out there that the county doesn't have. It was just an opportunity to help Ms. Garcia see if she could find some type of assistance to help her build site build rather than manufacture.
Okay, so the financial assistance was in regards to building a site-built home instead of a manufactured home. That was
Yes.
removed. Okay, got it. Okay,
Thank you.
any other questions? You've heard the request, you've heard
Yeah, I
the
have some.
recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board. Go ahead, Commissioner Peacock.
I guess, Ms. Wendy, you're gonna have to come back up.
Let Wendy come back up. We've got a question maybe for Wendy, and then we'll give you an opportunity to speak.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between, in your opinion, manufactured and modular?
Manufactured homes are built under federal standards and they're considered mobile, and they fall under the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. Modular homes fall under Florida Building Code, and they have to be set with a chain wall and built like a house, established like a house on its foundation.
So with our current ordinance, a modular home is allowed and a pre-manufactured home is not.
Correct.
when was the Jackson County Code 42-4557 passed?
I don't have,
I don't
That
pull that
is-
up. Probably in the 90s, maybe 80s.
mhm.
Was it passed after they established Compass Lake in the Hills subdivision?
Yes.
It was established for that.
This section is specific to Compass Lake in the Hills subdivision. This section of the code.
So if she wanted to put this home in Daleville, would she qualify?
Well, it depends on the land use. So Compass Lake in the Hills is a subdivision with its own ordinances. Should she buy?
Well, there are no subdivisions in Dalewood. It's open land.
Then depending on the land use and how many you can put per acre, then she probably could.
Yeah, I think she would. And for the members of the board that were not here, and I don't think you two were even on it. Y'all might have caught the tail end of some of that Compass Lake stuff.
Some of it.
I know these two did. Michelle, how many lawsuits were filed? I know we were sued twice. One for the homeowners association and people who were against the homeowners association. We got sued both ways. We couldn't win.
That may have been for the municipal tax.
Yeah,
That's what that was about.
Well, I know, but it was all as a result of this homeowners association.
they're
There were
not,
people down there who didn't want it and didn't want to pay the fee.
The MSTUP.
Yeah.
we need to be sure that we distinguish the MSTU, MSBU versus the Compass Lake in the Hills Property Owners Association, which is not a homeowners association. They're a private club. They're not a homeowners association. We haven't,
Well, I'm aware of that. Very familiar with it. Trust me, having gone through all that litigation, those hearings. But I remember the board, me specifically, saying that we should treat Compass Lake in the Hills like we do other areas of the county. I thought this had gone away.
The ordinance had been changed, or?
Yes.
You said you thought we had changed the ordinance?
Right. I thought they had changed the ordinance because we now grade those roads and maintain those roads down there.
Mhm.
She just said they don't have a homeowners association. So they do have some sort of an association. In fact, what was her name that came up here and did the presentation? Debbie. What was her name?
The Property Owners
Schuler,
Association?
Schuler, she came up. They came up and did a presentation at the end wanting to keep something going, and we told them, go back, put something together and come back and see us. Well, they haven't made it. So that's unincorporated Jackson County as far as I'm concerned. I don't see where we should be involved in it.
so this is one of the unusual things about your code. Ordinarily, you do not adopt regulations specific to a particular subdivision. So the county doesn't enforce subdivision restrictions, covenants, any of that. You do have a section in your code that was adopted, I think, in the 80s that specifically references Compass Lake in the Hills and that area, and does align with some of the declarations that have been recorded in the public records. So they're I'm trying to think of how to appropriately describe this. They're just a really unusual entity. I can't really call them explicitly a typical subdivision because they're not.
Well,
But you do have those regulations still existing in your code. There is a specific particular area with particular rules identified as Compass Lake in the Hills.
And that particular area is geographically defined.
I believe so.
And I think it has to do when it was established. It's what's considered by the state DRI, which is an area of regional impact. And because it was so large, it could affect environmental issues and other issues like that. So I think that's part of where that came in.
I'm just concerned that we're still involved with Compass Lake in the Hills. And there's no clearly defined reason for us to be there. And I'm concerned about us getting in the middle of another lawsuit that we don't need to be in. That's unincorporated Jackson County. Yes, it was going to be a nice subdivision, but it didn't materialize. And that's probably when it was all put into the code. And I think that part of the code needs to go. If it hadn't gone away, it needs to go away.
Let me ask this, has there been previous requests, similar requests to this that have either been approved or denied for Compass Lake
Not
Hills?
to my knowledge, not to do away with Compass Lake ordinances.
There's been requests for variances down there. We see them all the time.
Sure.
You got
We got
another one
one
coming
right
up.
behind it, but that's a totally different type of request.
Right.
But has there been a similar request to put a modular home or a pre-manufactured home in Compass Lake in the Hills in the past that we've acted on one way or the other? I guess I'm asking if there's any precedence.
My time.
I don't recall one. That doesn't mean there hasn't been, just nothing.
I didn't know if this was something that we had addressed a number of times in the past.
Not with the mobile home that I'm aware of.
But that was my question as well, and I would like to discuss the chairman allowed have time to come up and speak about that.
Sure.
I'd love to hear that.
Any other questions of Wendy, from Commissioner Pickett?
Not right now.
Okay.
I got a question.
Got it. Hold on,
I
Wendy.
know we're talking about, this is a Compass Lake in the Hill.
Right.
That ordinance, if it's a Compass Lake in the Hill ordinance, why are they asking us to do it?
A person can ask for a variance if they can show a hardship. And so when we bring a variance before you, that's part of the consideration. We follow the ordinances as written in the regulations.
All right, another question I got, I know that all these pictures here show mobile homes or manufactured homes, all similar, so why is it wouldn't be acceptable? I mean, they got them all over the place anyway. So I don't understand why, unless this ordinance just come up, just been made. If it's been an ordinance all the time, I don't see why you can't have variance to do it with all these others in place. What's the difference?
I don't know which ones would have been, had variance prior to us. I think I'm only aware of one since I've been there, maybe.
But
That would have been 16 or 17.
And probably they gonna put a new mobile home or a new modular home.
That's what she
Well,
said.
if it's gonna be a new one, that'll look better than some of that's here.
Maybe she can come up and address
Right.
those things.
Yeah, but one of the comments for Commissioner Crutchfield's first question about what we actually have jurisdiction over, legal jurisdiction over Compass Lake in the Hills. It's not a subdivision, it's not a homeowners association, and as a result of that, we actually have jurisdiction over governing what goes in and what goes out, what can be built there. And our current ordinance basically prohibits this type of home going there, and that's the reason why we got a variance in front of us, a variance request. Is that accurate?
It is a subdivision though, but you do govern, you govern through the ordinances.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, I don't have an opinion one way or another over what the board decides, but just something to consider is the challenge with varying from things like this at any point in time is you have people who purchased in an area with the understanding that these are not allowed. And so to say, well, today, because someone asked, we're going to change that, regardless of whether there are some breaking rules, that's a code enforcement issue or whatever, just not losing sight that if you bought in that area specifically because you liked that mobile homes weren't allowed there, it's just something to consider as well.
Yeah, personally, I'm not so much opposed to a mobile home going in there, but I am opposed to issuing a variance without us basically changing the ordinance. If we want to start allowing mobile homes to go in there because we think it's appropriate, then I think we ought to go ahead and change the ordinance. And instead
I
of,
think I agree with you, and at the appropriate time, I'll enlighten you on my motion.
and maybe right now.
No, we're dealing with this.
Well, would you like to come forward and speak if you don't mind? If you would, just state your name and for the record.
My name is Catherine Garcia, and I'm the one requesting the variance. And I understand that, you know, the idea of maybe people liking that there aren't mobile homes out there, but there are mobile homes out there. And I gave you guys the blue packet, and there have been variances over the years. You know, there is, the homes are supposed to be 1,000 square feet, and there's at least 13 homes that were approved that are not. There are lots, you're supposed to have one single family home per lot. There are 2 lots that I know of that have 2 single family homes on that lot. And the second home is like less than 500 square feet. It's this ordinance has not been followed, hard and true. Like if every home was exactly how this ordinance is, I wouldn't even dream. And I do know of people, Keith with Timberline, he says people have bought lots at Compass Lake not realizing that they couldn't have a manufactured home. And then they go to him and he says that, no, you can't have a manufactured home there. I think I'm not maybe one of the first people to take it this far. And the only reason why I have is because if you look at the pictures, that's my neighbor's house. And I have a letter from her where she says she doesn't mind me having a brand new mobile home on my lot. But that's the standard, you know, like I understand the ordinance was set in place to have a certain standard of housing, but it's not been followed. And I'm not asking for anything that's not already out there. And I'm just asking for something that's affordable. You know, wood prices, we bought this lot 2 years ago, had a home picked out with Jubilee, and overnight we couldn't afford it. But we kept clearing the land and kept working on it in hopes that the prices would go down. And now prices would come down, but not really the cost of building because interest rates and labor has gone up. And so you could build a site-built house for $165, $175 a square foot, but I could get this mobile home is gorgeous and it's drywalled and beautiful finishes. I can get it for $100 a square foot. Yeah, I'm an LPN. My husband works at Winn-Dixie here. We live in Calhoun County. Mariana is town for us. We bank here, we shop here, everything is here, and we just want to live here. When we bought our property, I joined the community club in Compass Lake. I volunteer at the fire department. I do fundraising because I live too far away to do anything else. And so I saw where I was allowed to request a variance, and just based on how people are just, you know, they're living in sheds and campers. And there's a lot of them. These pictures aren't even the tip of the iceberg. And I'm not going to report these people. I was told at the meeting on Monday to file a complaint. I'm not complaining about these people. They're trying to keep a roof over their head. I want to go through the right channels. That's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
so is this a double wide or triple wide that you're going to put in?
This is a double wide.
How wide will it be?
It'll be over 22 feet wide. That's the
How long
minimum.
do you anticipate it?
What is it, 28 to 32?
Okay.
I mean, I can get more house. I can $100 a square
Are you
foot.
going to remove the wheels from under this
Whatever it is you want me to do,
and the tongue?
I can, yes, sir.
And are you going to put skirting around it?
I want something nicer than that,
You want something nicer than
than
what's
skirting.
depicted here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Whether it's the vinyl runs down or we brick or do something around the bottom, I want something nicer than skirting.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, the request is to grant a variance for the pre-manufactured home. And I think we really do need to look at the ordinance. Yeah, again, I'm not in favor of approving this without changing the ordinance. I think if we're going to approve this, we really need to look at, if we are contemplating approving this, I really think we need to change the ordinance. That's the way I feel.
I certainly understand what you're saying, but here's a family that's trying to get some affordable housing going. It'll take months to change the ordinance. Trust me, I know. I am in favor of approving the variance with stipulations. They remove the wheels, they remove the tongue, and they, like she said, brick or vinyl, make it nice. So when you look at it, you can't tell if it's modular or if it's manufactured.
I think all,
That's my motion.
all new mobile homes is made where you can take the tongue off. They slide them up under trailer,
Yeah.
ever moved again.
Take the wheels off of it.
Well, they do that too, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the axle? They leave the axle in.
No,
So they take.
They
They
take
take the
the
axle and all out,
Right.
yeah, axle and all out now.
I-
Second
I-
motion.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions?
Mr.
Hearing none,
Chairman,
all those in favor of the
Mr.
motion
Chairman.
is.
can I just put something on the record?
Yes,
I just want to make clear to you that the county is not, and the board's decision today, that's not the end
Okay.
of the discussion
Okay.
for you. You really do need to go see an attorney and get legal advice for yourself about any rights that your neighbors might have to prevent your mobile home from going in. Because the board's decision, that's not the end of the line. That's not the final decision, because it is technically a subdivision. Excuse me, a subdivision. There are covenants and restrictions out there. We ordinarily do not enforce private, land rights. What I'm telling you is that your neighbors may have rights that will supersede any decision that this board makes, because this isn't, it's not our subdivision. For whatever reason, when I was a baby, the board decided to adopt these land use regulations, but this board's decision isn't binding on your neighbors.
Well, I have one neighbor. The other people are down the road. So are you talking about people down the road? Because I have one neighbor and she said it's okay.
I have to walk a really fine line here, to not give legal advice, but I do strongly recommend to you that before you place that mobile home out there, that you get an independent
Okay.
opinion about, what rights your neighbors may have.
thank you.
Maybe
We
we
got-
could, add to the motion there to visit the ordinance down the road.
I'm gonna bring that up next.
Okay.
Let's deal with this and then I'll bring it.
So we've got a motion from Commissioner Peacock to approve the variance request, which was seconded by Commissioner Branch. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Again, opposed simply because I think we need to address the ordinance prior to taking any action. Okay, thank you.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we take a long, hard look at this section of the ordinance. We are out of the business with Compass Lake in the Hills. I see no reason to treat it any different than we do Whispering Pines or any of the other subdivisions here in the county. We got burned pretty good a couple of times. And so I don't want to expose the county to the liability of being sued and us having to spend more money. So let's get out of it. I thought we were out of it. We're maintaining the roads and everything now. So obviously we just didn't get around to doing the paperwork.
So what would that process look like, Michelle?
They gotta change the ordinance. It'd take a while.
Well, the repeal of the ordinance, would not take that long. I would like to get a second opinion, on this. But ordinarily, like I said, we don't enforce private subdivision rights. For whatever reason, back in the 80s, we did with this particular subdivision.
So because it's such a big subdivision?
No, I don't think so.
There were ulterior reasons.
I think there were some side deals going on.
Okay.
I won't
Can,
expand on my suspicions, but anyway. So I actually do have some concerns about the ordinance as it exists as to the prohibition on mobile homes. Like in the 80s, it was okay to have those kind of restrictions, but today it's really considered to be housing discrimination. You can have some reasonable regulations on the installation of the mobile home. You know, conditions that you would have on ordinary residents, such as the, you know, quality of the roof, roofing materials, appropriate siding, how it's fixed to a, you know, permanent foundation, anything that's kind of safety related. But just an outright prohibition on mobile homes is pretty frowned upon.
What would it take for us to treat that subdivision, just as Commissioner Peacock said, just like any other subdivision that's being either developed or is currently in place in Jackson County?
So my concern, and I would really want to get an opinion from somebody that does nothing but land use law. My concern would be whether the county's ordinance as it exists has caused some rights to be vested in the owners out in that particular area as to the future enforcement of these conditions. So is there the potential for some kind of taking allegation to be raised if the board just outright gets rid of, you know, these prohibitions? Are you going to have complaints or potentially lawsuits from owners out there who are claiming that your ordinance took some value from their property? And a kind of quick way of looking at that might be that because you would essentially be allowing mobile homes in this area, have you caused their property values to diminish? Have you, you know, caused, did they have some other right?
Do you,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Commissioner.
Chairman, Michelle, do you want to come back and brief us on this at the next meeting?
And I would,
If so, I'll withdraw my motion pending a briefing from her.
Yeah, I think that would probably be appropriate. So, I mean, how quickly could you do that research?
like I said, I'd like to get an opinion from an attorney that
Mhm.
does nothing but land use law, because
Could you brief us at the next meeting?
I should be able to.
So you withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I withdraw.
Thank you, Robert. I just got a comment.
Sure.
I have a little bit of a problem. I could see a regular subdivision where somebody sells 100 acres of land, they build a subdivision and they want a house to a certain spec. Keep it all the same. But you go down there, Compass Lake and the Hills, you see all kinds of stuff being built down there. I really don't think that should be a subdivision. Considered like a subdivision where everything is just exactly alike. It just, I can't, you know, you look in here, what the pictures they got here, you drive down there, you see all kind of different things. How you gonna make that all be the same? I don't think it ever happened. But I don't know what to do to change.
Yes, sir, come forward. State your name, please, sir, for the record.
I'm Captain's husband.
Okay, what's your first name?
Rick Garcia.
Rick, okay.
Rick, I appreciate the chance to talk here today, and y'all have asked some fantastic questions. I did some of the driving around and took some of the pictures, and I was really blown away at it. What kind of condition Compass Lake is in when you start driving down the clay roads. Most of y'all that live in this town or in the vicinity probably have never been through there, or certainly have never driven around some of the old clay roads. There are people living in the woods back there. And the lots that are empty are so broken and torn up. It's horrible. The place looks horrible. It's a fire hazard, and they're never going to get cleared unless the property slowly get bought up. And hopefully some of the people, the locals, start deciding they want to live here. But Compass Lake in itself is not the community. I don't think that it was meant to be something that it is not now. My wife asking for that mobile home, it was a matter of back in the 70s and 80s, the quality of the homes was horrible. The way they're building them now, if you look, Hurricane Michael hit, destroyed pretty much most everybody's roofs, but most of the mobile homes that are recently built in the last 15 years, other than the roofs, they withstood very well. And when you're driving by and you see a modular home and you see a manufactured home, generally, you really don't see the difference. You can't tell. It's the skirting typically what sets off the difference. Modular is just built on a stem wall, set on concrete if that's the case, but it has to be on the stem wall. But essentially, when you do the manufactured home, If you do that perimeter in the same look, people driving by, they're not gonna know. They can't tell the difference. They can't look at that and say, that ain't no modular. It's just,
I would say probably the difference in the way that all buildings, whether they be pre-manufactured homes, modular homes, or stick-built homes, commercial buildings, is the fact that when Hurricane Andrew came through and did so much damage down in South Florida,
that's a good
that the
point.
Florida building codes changed.
In the 90s,
In the 90s, and so
Yeah,
everything that was more recently built performed much better as a result of the
correct.
hurricane.
But you know, in your defense, the way you were talking about the subdivision, it's horrible. And I think you were aware, because it sounded like you made comments, and that's just where I wanted to come up and explain to y'all how bad it looks. Yeah, you can drive down certain roads and there's some nice homes, but boy, I'll tell you, just on our road, it's pretty bad.
I've driven around that whole area many times,
Yes, sir.
all of those roads. I know it like the back of my hand.
Yes, sir.
And it's changed a lot since the hurricane. I would
Yes.
say that's because prior to that, even though there were a lot of roads and a lot of undeveloped properties, there weren't a lot of, I'm going to call them refugees coming up from Bay
Sure.
County. And it's changed a lot since the hurricane.
Yeah, and most of the lots are owned by people that live up north.
Yeah.
You know.
They live all over the
They live
world.
all over, yeah, India, it's,
Oh,
and
yeah,
they
you-
use the land as an opportunity for their kids to be able to go to school. You know, that's one of their.
All right, well, appreciate it.
I think-
Make sure, make
Mr.
sure you
Garfield,
get,
or-
make sure you get the right zone.
Oh, yes, sir, yeah.
Yeah, just make
Zone 2
sure they ain't selling you something that's not, and get it pulled down there and you can't sell it
Right,
in the wrong zone, you know. for
yeah, yeah,
permit and
exactly,
all, Yeah.
yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, you're right, thank you.
We'd like to welcome you to the community too as well.
So Commissioner Peacock is withdrawing his motion pending a report from
That's
the
correct.
attorney to give us some additional information on the specifics of Compass Lake and Hills, and we'll wait to hear from her at our next month's meeting. Okay, moving down, still in community development. Item number 2 is a variance from the Jackson County Board Code of Ordinances. William?
Yes, sir. On January 31st, 2023, staff received a request from Peter and Shelley Smith for approval of a variance from the Jackson County Code of Ordinances, section 42-4551, in order to allow a site-built home to be constructed on the lot line between lots 14 and 15 of block 37, unit 3 of Compass Lake in the Hills subdivision, which requires a 20-foot setback from the side lot lines. So on February 20th, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended approval to the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners.
This is a lot, this is actually 2 lots that the same person owns, and they're talking about building a site-built home right in the middle of the 2 lots.
That's right.
Why would this, my question is, why would this even come to us?
Because
If they own 2 lots and they want to build on the center line, who cares?
Because it is actually 2 lots.
They own them.
I guess it's still platted, it's two lots, still 2 lots. You know? It's even like.
Doesn't
on my
make
piece of
sense to
property.
me, but
You can't take the 2 lots and make them together.
You can, but I guess
you have to go through the property appraiser's
You have to go
office
to
to
the
do
property
the
appraiser's
combination.
office.
Change
If
the
they
legal
own it,
limit.
build on it, who cares?
Well,
As long as you got the 20-foot setback.
that's the reason why the planning and zoning board recommended approval.
I'll make that motion.
That's like,
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 3 is board approval to set a public hearing for Dove Rest RV Park. Luann?
Yes, sir. This is a request to set a public hearing for March 14th, 2023 at 9:00 a.m. for a general development order for Dove Rest RV Park. And this is to add 4 mobile homes to the existing park.
Heard the request.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve this request.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney to set a public hearing for March 14th. Is that correct? March
Yes,
14th.
that's correct.
All those, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 4 is board approval to move Planning Commissioner Mike Crutchfield from District 1 to District 2.
So in the redistricting, it has recently come to light that our current representative for District 1, which is Mike Crutchfield, actually now lives in District 2. And so we are asking that the board, he's okay with moving and representing District 2 instead, and Mr. Crutchfield's okay with that. You want me to clarify?
Yeah, fine with it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
You got a motion from Commissioner Crutchfield, a second from Commissioner Peacock. Any other questions? Clarifications? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. That concludes section 3, community development. Moving into section 4, reports and requests. First item is the consent agenda items. I trust everyone has had a chance to look through the consent agenda items.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve these requests.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner McKinney to approve the consent agenda as included in the agenda packet. All those in favor of the motion, except for one thing that I forgot about. Go ahead, Ryan.
We just do need to make one clarification in the minutes on page 81. You all approved Orlando, Delwood, Cypress, Sweet Pond roads to be one project and Paws-A Road, but Clay, just for you guys, Airport Road should be stricken there. And then also they directed All-Day Howell to do the first road and DHM Paws-A Road. But on down, it says All-Day Howell's doing both.
So can you amend your motion to include that clarification, that correction in the
I
minutes?
want to extract everything but the roads I wanted. No, I'll do it.
Okay, so you've amended your motion.
I'll amend that motion. I do have a question for Keith before we
Okay.
go too far.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Maddox, I see this MOU with Second Harvest. Who are they? What do they do?
Second Harvest is a nonprofit that supports the NGOs and faith-based organizations in our community by bringing food from basically their master food bank to our entities here in the county and supports them on a regular basis, but also in times of disaster. Then during a disaster, the MOU, they would increase that support and potentially, yes, or potentially even bring in mobile food units.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 2 under section 4 is board approval of $8,105 sponsorship reimbursement. Ms. Daniels.
That's the TDC board voted to approve the full reimbursement in February 2023, and we recommend the board approve the same.
For the recommendation.
So moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Peacock. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 4 is board approval of a $2,000 grant request for Paws-A-Palooza Disc Golf Tournament. Lamb?
This is a request for a $2,910.76 grant request, and we recommend approval as well as the TDC.
So moved.
Got a motion from,
Oh, yes,
Yeah, I
I'm on
skipped over.
Florida Caverns. I'm sorry.
Well, that was my motion to approve the Florida Caverns.
So I think that you jumped ahead. to
I did,
number-
I jumped ahead, actually. I actually jumped way ahead. I'm down on number 4. So,
Okay.
so let's go back to number 3, which is a 2,000. What I read was number 4. What I should have read was a 2,910.76, $2,910.76 grant reimbursement for Florida Caverns Park.
Yes. And
So moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner
Very
Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Now, item number 4, which is the Paws-A-Palooza Disc Golf Tournament.
yes, so this is the recommendation to approve the grant request for $2,000.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions or any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 5 is also a TDC request in the amount of $1,250 for the professional Cowboys Association. Ms. Daniels?
Yes, the TDC recommended approval of this request.
A motion from Commissioner Crutchfield, a second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6 is a board approval of a task work order. Ms. Daniels?
Yes, this is for Russian Road and Taylor Road for a task work order for $55,885.50. And we do recommend the board approve.
With the recommendation,
So move, Mr. Chairman.
got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. I had a question that I raised at our agenda review meeting, and this pertains to not only this task force order, but another one for CEI coming up. And that is just trying to get a handle on how these fees are generated, the amount of the fees. So I know that when we develop a fee for architectural services, a lot of times I'll go to a fee guide as a benchmark published by the Department of General Services and Department of Management Services. And I'm just wondering how these fees are generated, the amount. Do we have a?
Jeffrey, you want to serve that? Going to speak to that.
So typically, it depends on the scope of the project. They use a percentage of construction cost, and the DOT puts out guidelines, basically parameters that we follow to make sure the task orders are in line with the going rate, I guess you could say, for state projects.
So depending on the size and the complexity of the project, the type of work that they'll be doing, we use kind of a DOT standard, FDOT standard as far as percentage, and make sure that's somewhere
That's correct.
in that range.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7 is a board approval of the CIGP grant application.
Yes, so this is a task work order for DHM in the amount of $1,666 to apply for the CIGP FDOT funded grant to pave Paws-A Road. So at the last meeting, we asked for you all to switch that. Well, it turns out that project was not allowable either. And so this is one that we feel like may qualify. And so we're asking for the task order to be issued for them to track.
For the explanation,
I got a question.
go ahead.
Do we normally get charged when they do these CIGP grants?
For these, we do.
We do.
Mhm.
Third year in a row.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve the request.
Got a motion from Mr. Peacock, second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8 is board approval of District 2 road and asphalt paving. Ms. Daniels?
This is to correct a 12-cent error in a previous closeout documents for District 2 dirt road asphalt paving, and asking the board to approve that so we can correct it for the record.
So move,
12
Mr.
cent
Chairman.
good or bad?
I believe it was to our loss.
Commissioner from, a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 9 is the closeout of guardrail replacement project.
Y'all could talk to Sarah about that 12 cent if y'all want a good story.
We made that.
So, board approval of closeout for the guardrail replacement project. So our work of this project was completed on February 6, 2023, and it is prepared for closeout.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
What is the guardrail project?
It's our Hurricane Michael guardrail.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Did we get all of them replaced, even in Indian Springs?
Everything that was on the list has been.
That was not my question.
I was strategic in my answer.
In other words, we got some, but not all.
We got what FEMA approved.
Oh, boy.
And I asked the question, was everything that was on the list, did we go behind and check? And they said that it was.
We
everything
did.
that
Our
was on the
in-house
list got
engineering
replaced.
tech did go behind and check.
Any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the closeout of that project.
So move.
Got a motion from Commissioner Branch, second from Commissioner Peacock. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 10, moving on down the list is the board approval to award D1 Asphalt Road Paving Project. Ms. Daniels?
Yes, on January 12th, 2023, an RFP was placed for District 1 asphalt paving. On February 13th, one sealed bid was opened for a grand total of $711,933.08. The roads are Rust, Burbank, Union, and Bellamy Bridge. Staff recommends awarding this project to the sole bidder, CB&L.
Mr. Chairman, I approve this bid award.
Okay. Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney, a second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimously. Item number 11, board approval to award project RB 2223. Ms. Daniels?
Yes, this is for Aldi Howe Engineering submitted a proposal to provide CEI services for the Baptist College Sidewalk project, not to exceed $42,943.
And this is all part of that.
All part of the
Budget.
grant. Yes, sir.
Okay. For the request,
So moved.
a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions? Clarifications here? None. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 12 is board approval of Amendment 5 to agreement with Northwest Florida Water Management District for Blue Springs Road Sewer Project. Ms. Daniels?
Yes, so this amendment advances phase 2 funds to cover deficiencies in phase 1.
So moved.
Explanation, got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 13 is board approval to purchase exercise equipment at Citizens Lodge. Ms. Daniels?
The health department contacted us and they have some funding available to purchase some exercise equipment. Due to time constraints, they've asked that we purchase the equipment and then we will be reimbursed with their grant funding. So asking the board to approve not to exceed $75,000 to move forward with this purchase.
This is replacement of existing, or is this new
Is it new or-
combination?
So we will be replacing existing as well as expanding to Cypress. So we're going to buy multiple pieces of equipment for both facilities.
Okay.
All
This-
outdoor,
What's all outdoor exercise, some of it will be ADA accessible and all of it will be within the existing paved trail of Citizens Lodge. And then as we're developing the trail in Cypress, it'll be incorporated with that. We want to make sure that it's clear that the request is to purchase under the Omnia contract, which is the pre-negotiated contract that Struthers Recreation uses, who is our vendor for this equipment.
but they're going to reimburse us.
The health department will reimburse us, but the request is to purchase off of the Omnia contract from Struthers.
So moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney to go ahead and move forward with the purchase of this equipment underneath the Omni contract. Any other questions, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 14 is board approval to award a contract to Broadband Consultant. Ms. Daniels?
So this is the results of the broadband process, and that is Finley Engineering. We do recommend awarding it to Finley, and Hunter, you may need to step up. We don't actually have any funding set aside for this, and so our intention was to negotiate to see if we could work with them, not commit $83,000 right out the gate, but issue task orders for things that we identified to work with them on. Hunter, is that still the intention? Okay.
Did they
I
agree
just want to
to
make
it?
clear that we are not saying we are going to pay them $83,000 today.
So that'll be part of the negotiation.
Can,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
can they apply for a grant to cover this?
Well, I think that's what we want to meet with them on, to see what our options are. And if we identify that we need to come up with this money for whatever reason, we come back, but we don't have any funding identified for this, is what I'm saying.
Whenever you decide to meet with them, I would like to be present.
So the motion should then be to, number one, approve Finley as the number one ranked firm, and then to authorize staff and Commissioner Peacock to sit down with Finley and negotiate the terms of, moving forward.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
That sounds like a good motion to me, Mr. Chairman.
We'll bring the results back to the board for the terms.
Yes.
And I will add that, looking at the grading results, all 5 commissioners did, actually, grade Finley as the highest. I think they had a good presentation. It was, very consistently, saying the highest ranked firm among all 5 commissioners. Okay, so we've got a motion from Commissioner Peacock. Second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving down the agenda, item number 15 is a board approval of amendment number 4 to the governor's job growth grant.
So this is due to deliverable underruns in completing the project. Jackson County requested the attached amendment to shift costs among the various project deliverables in the total amount of $211,863.48. Specifically, this request includes shifting $210,000 from deliverable number 4, program development, to deliverable number 2, construction, as well as shifting $1,863.48 from deliverable number 3, which is purchase of equipment, to deliverable number 2, construction. So this is, we worked with David to see where we are with the autism and with construction. And so this is where they've moved the numbers to not 1, send anything back, but 2, to cover where we had shortage at.
Are we gonna cover everything?
Mhm.
So move.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock,
A second.
second from Commissioner McKinney. Question for Rhett, since you were involved in that. Did the city ever get out there and get the direct bore done? Do you know? I don't even know.
I have not followed up on that, sir.
Between either you or I, let's follow up on that and see. I know that the pipe has been delivered, so.
I can probably find that out for the time we
Yeah.
get out of this
If you
meeting.
don't mind,
Yes,
I know that we've gone through a coordination issue trying to get that done, and I want to make sure that it gets done pretty
No
quickly.
problem.
Okay, I got a motion from Commissioner Peacock and a second from Commissioner McKinney, right?
Right.
All those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 16 is board approval to surplus some real property in Greenwood. Ms. Daniels.
So there's a map attached in this section of your packet on page 271 that identifies a piece of property in blue that we own. I'm not sure the history on why the board owns it, but we've been contacted by several real estate agents that the property identified in the picture that's 20 acres is for sale, and the prospective buyers inquire about this piece of property, and I'm not sure if they're concerned about what we may do with it or what's driving that. But we are asking for permission from the board to surplus the property and authorize staff to proceed with dispensation of the property through public sale. We don't have any use that I'm aware of. In fact, it appears to be landlocked. And so this is essentially what the real estate agents are asking for, is to.
Be able to sell it.
And when you say a public sale, what does that actually mean?
Would we just list this one, Hunter?
Advertise in the paper.
But for the market value or?
Sealed bid, basically, and we take the highest offer, basically. Is there a minimum amount we need
We
to?
can make it minimum.
I think we need to. I mean,
Well-
we need to give it away.
And along those lines, we can take action on this. I had spoken to Daniels about surplus and Red about surplus property that the county owns. You know, we have a tremendous amount of property that's on the books. You know, for what reason? You know, we need to really look at that list.
There was a list printed not that long ago
Right.
with
Exactly.
all
We
the
were all recently
properties
gone.
available. I don't know where it got off to. I may
Yeah.
still have one. But
Well-
you're right, there is a lot of property that could be sold.
And if
Um,
we don't have a use for it, it'd be best to get it on the tax rolls as
Yeah,
opposed to being on the tax roll.
Michelle, by virtue of the fact this is away from the road, in Florida, you can't landlock property, is that correct?
Correct.
Right.
So don't let that devalue the property just because the road doesn't go up to it.
You're gonna have
So
access
what,
to it.
I don't know what. I haven't checked on any property recently to see what the going rate would be. But
So,
$1,000
Mr. Chairman.
maker.
We had planned on bringing this specific topic up at one of our special meetings this year. This is something that Hunter's worked on very extensively and put together all the properties we have across the county. But when it was done, there was no clear direction on next steps. So that was one of our tasks for this year to engage, because we do have quite a number of vacant, unusable properties, unusable to the county, I should say, but may have a value to the private market.
Let's keep that kind of on the front burner, not
Yes,
on the
sir.
front burner, but let's don't put it on the back burner. And let's
Understood.
make sure we take some,
My
give some
budget.
direction.
Might bridge the gap with our budget shortfall.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Has anybody looked at the property? Is it got timber on it, or is it growed up, or,
I've
I mean, maybe
driven
some
by from
value,
the road, but haven't walked it just because of the layout of it.
maybe some value there. You
Didn't
know,
appear to be much, if any. I think it would be more of a burden for someone to clear than to have any true value.
yeah, that's
Not a lot
another
of-
thing, to clear, if it cleared, it's worth more
Right.
than it would be, had to be cleared, and $1,000 acre cheap.
Oh, good God, no.
Yeah.
Don't sell it for that.
Yeah, right. You mentioned it.
I would say no less than that for sure.
Ooh.
On average, a couple $1,000.
Right.
Some of it goes a lot higher too, depending on what's on it, what it looked like, if it's already cleared. You know, I do know the landlocked is a little bit of a problem, but they gotta, I think, gotta give them an access to it. They may have to pay for that access,
Right.
but they can get access to it.
Why don't they come up with some numbers? If we're going to set a price, or just let them put it out for bid and see what comes back. But
Yeah, it need to be where you can deny it.
Yeah, I'd say at least
Oh,
put
yeah.
a minimum.
we have that right to reject any of
That's right.
It's not an absolute sale.
Yeah.
anybody check to see if there's an existing easement?
I've not pulled any title records or anything on it.
The property appraiser checked now, but from our records we had, we couldn't find anything that he was, like, even the original deed and everything, can't find it yet, but it's having service on it.
Do we have any idea how long we've owned?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Long time.
It's probably a piece of property that was taken years and years and years ago for taxes.
Could have been. I think that's how, maybe we've got our hands on quite a bit of
Much
it.
of it, yeah, sorry.
Did we get a motion?
I make a motion, we table this pending
Some additional information?
additional information. Do we want to put it out at bid, or do we want to ask some appraiser to give us a,
What's it worth?
yeah, what are we dealing with?
Yeah, we don't want to get rid of cheap cheap.
They're gonna basically give us.
You get 2 or 3 realtors, they'll give you. Between the 3 of them, you'll come up with a fair price.
So the reason we did, I recommended public sale as opposed to a private sale, is because it's essentially valued at the property appraiser over 15,000. So you can do a minimum of 15,000 and kind of go from there.
It's 20 acres.
5.4, isn't it?
Our property's 5.
No, that's 20 ahead of it,
Okay.
according to that diagram.
That's right, it's 5.4.
5.4 is what we're trying to
So
sell.
what's the direction of the board to staff? Get an appraisal? Okay.
Yeah, but
Motion.
appraisal will
Motion.
cost us.
Well, we're talking about.
Yeah, another thing. Well, they're gonna charge it, do the appraisal.
I don't see why we can't talk to a realtor to give us an,
Ideal.
estimate of what it would be worth.
Who is? I mean, I can talk to
The
Kat
one I
Milton.
use is
I'll
gone.
talk to Kat Milton. She's good about that kind of thing. Just find out.
Talk to 2 or 3 and you'll have a fairly decent idea.
I'll
of
talk
what
to
it's
Robbie
worth.
and Kat and bring it back to the next meeting. We'll go from
Let us
there.
know, yeah.
Maybe we just table it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have.
Then
to-
put it out for bid.
Is there a motion? Is that a motion, Commissioner Branch?
Second.
Commissioner- Got a motion from Commissioner Branch, second from Commissioner Peacock to table it until we get some additional information on the potential value, and we'll take action on it at that time. Any other questions, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carries unanimously. All right, moving down to item number 17, waiver of county building permit and development order fees for Project TAP. Ms. Daniels?
So this was supposed to come before you all originally with Project TAP, and it just was not in the memorandum of understanding. But this is a request for the board to waive the county building permit fees and development order fees. I'm not sure of the exact dollar amount. Wendy, do you have that with you? I know that the, I mean, it's a large amount because it's a large building, but Alan did say that he would do the inspections. So, we're not paying someone to do the, apart from just some kind of emergency that comes up that we have to send someone. He said he would handle
He
it.
can handle it. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this
There's
request.
a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner Branch. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, item number 18, didn't write down what that was, William.
Yes, this is board approval to award RFQ 2223-08. This is for Vision First Advisors. This is asking board approval and authorize staff to begin contract negotiations. So this is the strategic planning services.
This is based on, basically the grading criteria, the selection given by the board.
It
Okay.
is.
Got a motion from Commissioner McKinney. Was that, did you make that as a motion? Second from Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Peacock voting no. That concludes section number 4, moving down to section 5, which is what Mr. Pressman's here for. This is a board discussion of Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission deer hunting limits. Mr. Pressman.
Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. Thank you, board, for allowing me to come. Thanks. Most of y'all know me pretty well. I reside at 5905 Timber Lane Road, Bascom, which is right on the Alabama line, far northeast end of the county. We got a problem. My daddy used to say, you have problems, but what really makes a man out of you is how you handle them. And he also used to say, if you do something that might have the least little spark of controversy, by God, you're gonna have some. So we got that. We got a problem, we got a little controversy. The problem is deer. We've been blessed in Jackson County with an abundance of wildlife. I mean, we're blessed. We've got some good deer here. We've got some good genetics in these deer. We've got somewhere to feed them. And actually, since the Michael storm, the deer have benefited from it because of tougher access to get to them. Okay. The Game Commission implemented a few years ago several different rules and regulations. One was they're able now to feed deer. Some people call it baiting, whatever you want to call it. You can hunt over feed. What that has done basically is it's like in the livestock industry. The better care you take of your livestock, the more productive they're going to be. So the young doe, she's going to have one for sure. She may have two. The older doe, she's going to have two every time. So it's caused a little bit of a population explosion in itself that we as landowners in northeastern Jackson County have seen since the mid-80s, late 80s. Okay. Another thing that I feel like the problem was, and I'm not saying good or bad either way, I'm not going to spark up controversy and make people mad and everything, is the stopping basically of dog hunting. And dog hunting's fun. It's fun. I've done it all, killed some good deer both ways. There's reasons that the dog hunting stopped basically because of urbanization, urban sprawl, if you will, or let's say rural sprawl, that you can't just run through people's like you used to could. The properties are smaller. And I want to do what I want to on my property. And you can't just run your dogs through it. Well, okay, so the dog hunting has stopped, but the deer have done some things. Okay. And I'm a hunter, and it's been an enjoyable passion for me that what I've learned about the deer, my dad wasn't a hunter. The deer have taught me. Living where I do, and my neighbors, the deer have educated me. And my education that the deer have taught me with what the Game Commission does and a couple of biologists do, they're dead wrong.
And they don't communicate with us. That's why I'm here with you guys. We got to communicate. Okay. Now, with the stopping of dog hunting, that old big buck that they're trying to kill, that basically that old great big one, I'm up there at Bascom, he's liable to be from Greenwood. He travels. Those big mature bucks travel. You find him and put that dog on that track, he's dead. He's dead. They got good dogs, they're good hunters, they're gonna kill him. So what's left to breed? The little spike, the little deer that lives there that hasn't got old enough to spread out yet. And he may not be able to take care of the breeding. So the population explosion, since these deer don't get killed from different areas, that's helped with the population explosion, okay? It's not that the dog hunters, you know, like over there above Sneed's, first 2 or 3 weeks after season, they kill them all. And then, oh, he got by me, I didn't see his horns, it was a spike. It's because of the quality and the ability to breed. I raise longhorn cattle. So it's genetics, nutrition, and age. Same way with the deer, but you got to have the genetics. You can't feed something that's not there. You can't let something get old enough that's not there. If I take my mature herd sire out every single year and use the latest bull calf that was born every year, what would happen to my herd? It's the same with the deer, okay? So that we have a population explosion in this county. Now, I just Carl Crescent in a small area. That area encompasses north of Highway 90 from Sneed's up the River Road till it dead ends into Timberlane. From Timberlane Road at the state line where I live to Tuick, around the Lovedale curve. Highway 69 from Grand Ridge, turn off at Tuick and take Hummingbird to Bascom. I started counting. Thanksgiving weekend, because that's my area of travel. And well, wait a minute, Blue Springs Highway as well. From the whole of Blue Springs Highway. We give all of Blue Springs Highway. That's my area of travel where I live, where I have cattle, where I have hay that I take to my cattle. Starting on Thanksgiving weekend, I started counting, making little notes. I got tired of it, y'all. I'm not counting, I'm not talking about all the dead deer on Highway 2. 8 of them at the foot of the bridge. I'm not talking about all the dead deer that's between Timberlane and Malone. I'm not talking about all the dead deer you see on Highway 90 or other side of Highway 2. We're going to Cameron. I'm not talking about any of them. And I'm not talking about the deer after the 16th of January, from Thanksgiving weekend. I quit counting at 200 carcasses that I saw beside the road. 200. How many made it in the woods and died? Now, first of all, it's a public safety issue. Second of all, if you really want to look at it closely with the water supply, with homes nearby, it could be a health issue, but it's also an economic issue and it's wasteful. Now, I didn't get done. I apologize that I did not get the figures I wanted for you guys. Farm Bureau had big meetings last week. Then my agent was out Friday and he was the lady is working on it. I can get you some more figures and I'd like to see them. But all I was able to get was from an adjuster that works Jackson, Holmes, Calhoun, and Gadsden County in the last 12 months. The claims that they have had for just Farm Bureau. There's 50 deer in Jackson County, 25 in Holmes, 15 in Calhoun, and 20 in Gadsden. Do the math. Now, let's talk about what do those folks spend on that deductible. Now, I have hit and killed 2 myself on a dirt road. One of them came from the little scope of woods behind the dollar store in Dalewood. I was barely moving. I was pulling up there to the stop and little old car with a plastic front end, and it went boom, like running over a dog, and the thing's laying there dead. There's about 15 of them coming from right there. The Game Commission biologist, Corey Morey, just will not agree with me. He looks at numbers of total hunters in the state, and if everybody kills 2 does, then we just won't have any. Everybody don't kill 2 does. Everybody buys a hunting license, don't deer hunt. In other areas, they don't have. Now, they can do as they wish, county by county, certain areas in each county. Dooley County, Georgia did a thing for a few years ago that really added to their buck quality. The only county in Georgia that did it. We're just not taking enough does, guys. My neighbor's up there, my neighbor right beside me in the last 2 years by depredation permit killed 150. Another neighbor right down the road, and they're not on the main artery of the highway. Another neighbor down the road, their North American Farms, a big farm, they killed 100 this past year by permit. Other neighbors right back down the road killed 45. Nate Bunton at Appalachia finally sold them on, let me kill some does out of this management area. They gave him 45 permits and they killed him the first 3 weeks of regular gun season. And they only hunt 4 days a week in Appalachia management area with quota hunters. We got a problem. We need to take more does, and I can't say below 90. I will say I went to the last 2 Saturday nights. I treated myself to supper at Alpha Diner. It was after dark. I left from Delwood, cut through the woods. I went down through Shady Grove area, coming and going and back both times. Was it dark when I left? Was it dark when I came back? Around 7 to 8 o'clock both times. This past Saturday night, Saturday night before. I had to slam on the brakes and dodge for does and yearlings in the roadway. That was south of number 90 and in Calhoun County some, okay? But I propose that we do need to, and let's face it, it's not their fault. A lot of the fault of it is these boys that are trying to make a living to drive these WBT chip trucks. They're all hours of the night. They're making a living. They got a quota to haul it to the paper mill, and they're doing the best they can. They come by my house, 2 o'clock in the morning all the time. Friday night, big old doe was killed. Last night, a big old doe was killed. I'm hauling hay this morning, there's a big old doe laying there side the road, splattered all to pieces because she went under one of them trucks probably. So my thing is, Carl Cressman I don't need this microphone. I got a loud voice, always have. Y'all know me. You can hear me in a bonnet. But my voice isn't loud enough to go to the game commission and say, guys, we got a problem. We're not killing enough does. We need a proposal from a group like you guys that can say, let's make some changes in our county. I'm sure if we even started some kind of food bank thing, people would be glad to have them. Be glad. And to me, 5 deer per person isn't enough anyway, but only 2 does per man in the state, bow season, gun season and all. And we only have 8. We have more doe days than any other place in the north of I-10. We have 8 doe days, but it's not enough. And those doe days ought to be hot or it ought to be raining. Or this year, 2 of them were freezing cold. So it always draws out good for those does. Those doe days we have, we don't kill as many as we would like.
Are you saying, I guess if you were king, you're saying increase the number of does?
Yes, sir.
And then lengthen the season?
No, sir. I'm not saying it. Well, I would like to see the season coincide with Alabama for sure. And change a few things. I am saying widen the doe season. Alabama has a doe a day statewide. They call it hunter's choice. They ain't put no dent in them. Okay, they haven't put a dent in them. And they're right there at me. I would propose that instead of having number 1 doe days, that we have whenever you want to kill that doe. Set a limit. I would say, and I would like to see the buck harvest thing change a little bit as well. But we gotta walk forward, we crawl before we walk, kind of thing. I propose 5 does per hunter per year. Unless go back, even maybe go back to the doe per day of archery season. Kill as many does as you want in archery season per day, and then add, if you're gonna put the limitations, like now it's just 2 antlerless deer from archery season till the end of muzzleloader, which was yesterday. You can take 2 antlerless deer. You can take 5 deer total. Again, if you think about the practicality of it, those 5 deer, I'm a deer hunter. I like to kill mature bucks, or some of those I feel are culls that I don't want to breed that are under the legal horn size. That's another thing that's controversial. So it puts more pressure on not taking those does because we don't get to kill enough bucks. We want to kill more than, want to kill at least 4 or 5 or 5 or whatever. So my thing is, give us 5 bucks that we can kill, 5 does that we can kill in Jackson County or even north of 90, because I can't tell you about down there. Somebody else will have to fill in that data for you. Have proposed something that the Game Commission communicates with the landowners like myself. I just went over there 2 or 3 hours ago. That's the 38th time I've been a taxpayer in this county. I went and paid my taxes a while ago.
Thank you.
So,
Well, let me ask you this. I guess I'm trying to figure out where you want us to go from this point and what would be the most productive way of getting with you saying that we ought to have a meeting with them, request a meeting, or do you think we should go with a very specific letter proposing some?
I was told by 3 different wildlife officers, by a couple of wildlife management area managers. I won't mention their names. I don't think it's fair for me to do that. I asked them what they thought about. They agree that we have a problem and that we need to take more does. They agree that it's the state biologist that doesn't think he doesn't think so. His job is saving deer. Okay, they're pets to him or whatever. Irregardless, he doesn't agree with that. The number. So, but these guys suggested that I get your insurance company data and that I come to an entity like you guys that have more weight than I would with the Game Commission. And that we somehow as land, see, they do these surveys. I get one, or used to. Now that I'm license exempt, I don't. But they ask you different things. And let's face it, guys, the average deer hunter don't know. If he sees a buck chasing a doe, he thinks they're rutting. No, he's chasing a doe. It might be in heat and it might be during the rut, but the rut don't last for 3 to 5 days. And this might be, and if that doe comes in estrus in July, he's going to chase her and breed her. And that happens. Look at our phone crop sometimes. But what I'm saying is they take the data from deer hunters. The data needs to come from landowners, the people that raise them, the people that live with them every day, not that go 72 days a year out to a management area and hunt. The people that the other 290 days per year see them and raise them and know what they're doing and see the dead ones beside the road.
Well, I'm like you. I see deer, doe all the time. I mean, all you gotta do is travel these highways. You see them all the time. You better keep your eyes open, and sometimes that doesn't help.
Mr. Donifred, I have sort of befriended Mr. Tony Young, who is the FWC communications liaison. He's all on, because that's his job. He's all on Facebook and stuff, and he started hunting over in Jackson County a couple of years ago. He and I talking. He's got a band in Tallahassee. He's a nice fella, and he's real colorful about. He writes all the brochures, and he has a woods and water thing. He draws up all their new proposals and everything. He is their communications liaison. I was talking to him about it. He hunts around between 2 Egg and Greenwood somewhere. This is about a month ago, and I called him about what can we do to do something for this problem that we're having. Okay. And I hadn't seen any dead deer by the road. I'm like, Tony, where do you get off I-10 when you go to 2 Egg? Well, they're at Grand Ridge, and I come up 69. I said, it must be before daylight and after dark when you come and go, or just take your light and open your eyes. A bunch of them laying in the middle of the road. That curve there where the river road meets into timber lane, there's 25 killed there this time. They're just lined up like people have dumped them, but they're not, And some of that is slobs that will dump them, but you can tell it's nothing but bones. There's nothing else to go with it. But my thing is, guys, I'd like to see the game commission communicate with the right people. And whatever y'all can do to help us with that, I would appreciate.
Maybe we need to invite Commissioner Pickett.
I agree with Carl. There are a lot of deer out there. And of course, I'm over in his area a lot. And you see a lot of dead ones along the side of the road. Now, Carl, I disagree with you on killing the does in bow season because of the babies. Well, I have some that raise in the edge of my yard, and I just don't want to kill them during bow season.
Well,
And you take them later is fine with me. But I think what we need to do is we need to probably do a special meeting or something, invite people to come in. Carl's done a good presentation, but there's probably other people out there that want to talk, but also get FWC in here and talk to them about increasing the limit. I don't know how many deer we have picked up, but I was told last year, Jesus told me he picked up like 200.
well, when I worked at
They're
ACI for a number of years, I was the cattle manager there. And this thought came to mind while I was here in this meeting. Raymond Thompson came in as the warden, superintendent at the West Unit out there. And the way the setup is, just the whole state setup and the traffic and the 3 to 11 and the 11 to 7 and the shift changes at River Junction and the state hospital and ACI East and West Unit would take a toll on the pets and the varmints, game animals and everything in Highway 90. Just splattered all the time in the middle of Sneed's, side the road. And I told him, I said, Mr. Joe, why don't you do something for the community? And I said, we do, my crew and I, every once in a while do. I just, especially if I got one that has been a little bit disobedient, we'll pull off side road, put that dead dog in the back of the truck and haul him off. So he actually implemented the thing with the disciplinary squad. And there for the last 2 or 3 years I was at ACI, it would be just a few minutes or a few hours that you would see a dead animal in the road up and down, say from Grand Ridge to the river to Chattahoochee, because they'd go pick them up. Now, I don't see county inmates anywhere stop sign they spin back and forth, you know, and are picking up garbage side of the road or anything. I mean, that may be something that all, like Mr. Peacock says, we pick up these things when they're killed. But, you know, don't you have inmates or people with community service hours or something that could help pick them up side the road even?
That's a whole different issue.
It is a whole different issue. But the thing about it is you ain't got to go very far down any of those thoroughfares I just named to you and see them on both sides.
I agree. I see them all the time.
And
You don't see them, you got your eyes closed.
those of you that have teenage children, teenage grandchildren. And they're coming, here's a 16-year-old girl just got her driver's license. She's going to school in the morning. What's she gonna do when a buzzard flies right up in front of her car? You know, they're not used to that kind of stuff. It's there, it's an effect that's widespread, y'all. And all I knew to do was to come up here and speak my piece and try. I love Jackson County. I live here. I support everything y'all talking about up here. First time I've done this, and you know, I may have made the biggest fool out of myself in the world, but it's just the way we got a problem that we need to try to work at.
We appreciate all of your comments, and it was all good information, good presentation.
If y'all can put the pressure on them to just visit with those of us that raised the blame things. And then the sad thing is too, right there where I am, we raise them. And when the deer actually rut in the northeast end of the county, we basically can't hunt them. Alabama can. So they're killing those big bucks for us. They're dead before our season comes up. And you spoke about the bow season. Our bow season has gotten way too late. It makes the rest of our seasons way too late. These February hunts we got, we're hunting a lot of deer that's already shed their horns. So, I mean, there needs some tweaking and getting together with other states, Georgia and Alabama. And especially with the landowners, you know, that's the thing about, but now, as far as those, you know, deer are pretty tough. Those that still have some spots, if they ain't just tiny, and they're not in bow season, their mama gets killed, they're gonna make it. They're gonna make it just fine. She may have already about, you know, hadn't run them off, but they about weaned, they're not nursing much by the 1st of November anyway. And the way the timing of it is. But we need to be able to take them when we want to take them, not designated days. In other words, those of us that are deer hunters, we're using that doe to get the buck to hang around. And after she gets bred, then we kill her. You see, or she's a big old barren doe, you know, but she's still, those are the ones that need to be taken, especially. We use her as bait. But those designated doe days are before it's time for bait.
Well, let's see if we can't get somebody in here and maybe have, like Commissioner Peacock said, have a special meeting to discuss this. And, you know, I guess I'm torn between going with a very specific proposal, a letter, you know, proposing some specific changes, or trying to meet with them and get them to understand the problem.
One other thing I was told that I'd like to add. We probably, unless we just jump on it quickly, just jump right on it and still may not be able to do it. Probably the 2023-24 season is set in stone. So the only changes we would be able to make would be 24-25, maybe. You know, we just have to give them a try. But anything, any information, anything I could add, I'd like Corey Moore to drive up in my yard and let me take him around and show him. You know, show him some things. Come up there at night, let's make some spotlight checks and things. And I could, but they don't communicate. They don't use any data north of Appalachian Management Area. He uses none. He uses none, and that's where the population of them is north of Appalachian Management Area. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
I got a question.
Got a question for you,
Yes,
sir.
What's the difference between the hunting season in Alabama or Georgia versus Florida?
Georgia comes in fairly early. Theirs is in like October. Alabama's is back like ours used to be. They come in the Saturday before Thanksgiving and runs. They added some days to February 10th. That's what I'd like to see us do. We do have a February hunt, and then and up until like the 19th, I think it was this year. Then they give us the last week for muzzleloader. And we have, the way our season is we have a bow season that doesn't start till about the last week of October. It runs until the day before Thanksgiving. Then we have 4 days for Thanksgiving for general gun hunting. 4 days. Alabama's already been open for a few days, you know, for a week or so. Then we shut down. We have a crossbow only for a week after Thanksgiving and a muzzleloader only for the next week after that. Then the second Saturday in December, our season opens up, and state used to go out the mid Wednesday of February. Now it goes out the 3rd Sunday in February. So we have a basic 2-week gap. Where I live is when the deer run. Now, some of the fellow that's getting way on up in years I go to church with, he said for years, he's got a little place right there by the state park, right there by me, just an edge of Florida. And he's a little bit of deer hunting, about all he's left that fellow can do. And he's made the comment, you know, a lot of folks would like to kill a deer for Thanksgiving and have some deer meat for Thanksgiving meal. Well, unless you got one in the freezer, pick up one of them side of the road, you don't do that, you know? So yes, I mean, just back it up a week and leave it when it opens, leave it open and close it a little earlier and just add the tail end of that on the muzzle loader. And it simplifies things.
Didn't they used to do that? When they open full season?
Yes, sir. And used to, years ago, our season opened the 2nd Saturday in November. Then in longer, see, when I talked to Tony Young, the liaison communication guy, oh, well, I don't remember, you too young, because they started doing the Thanksgiving open and closing thing probably in the late 80s. Well, I was in my twenties then, I ain't sure ain't no more. You know, so it's been, but I've grown in it. I've grown in the rules and regulations. And with the rises and the falls in the deer population through the blue tongue diseases and other things that we have. But like I say, they're awful residual. And the least little thing they can take advantage of increases their numbers. And when it becomes a safety issue and a wastefulness issue, then some changes need to be made. Guys, that's all. So thank y'all very much.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Mr. McCollum.
I said a special meeting. If we don't do a special meeting, then we probably need to advertise, you know, a time frame on our agenda when we would invite people to come in and talk. But in talking, what he's saying about deer, there's 4 that live right there behind Winn-Dixie. I see them all, used to see them all the time. They're everywhere. But I went to Texas, San Antonio, and I know it's low, Texas is loaded with deer. I saw 1 or 2 dead deer on I-10. One, but in Florida, they're everywhere along I-10. But you get out in Texas, don't ask me, are they smarter?
Maybe.
And how do they get through the high fence on I-10 too? How do they do that?
They don't have fencing on I-10 in
There's
Texas.
high fence down I-10 where I see them dead side of the road with a high fence.
Jeff?
We'll get our heads together and figure out what we need to do as far as how we can proceed with this, but I agree with you. It's a problem. That needs to be
Thank you very much.
Let's just get some more input from the community and then get with game and formulate a plan and get with game and fish.
Who on staff would be good to kind of have a discussion?
Rhett,
Rhett?
he talks to him anyway.
And let's get a game plan together as far as we'll have a discussion and figure out how best to proceed with this. All right, very good. That takes care of our agenda. Anything else, Luann, from Michelle, anything that you need?
I need to request an executive session in the matter of Jackson County versus Compass Lake in the Hills Property Owners Association.
Okay.
We had mediation on Friday. We have a settlement proposal that I need to review with the board.
When do you want to do it? When do you want to try to do it?
Well, we're set for trial at the end of the month, so if there's any time later this week, Thursday or Friday.
Oh, I'm tied up tomorrow and the next day. I can do Thursday or Friday.
Mine's going blank. I think I could probably do Thursday. What time, Michelle? You want to get with Luann and see if you can throw out some, do we need to set that tonight?
So if y'all could give me 2 dates and times to work with, but I will still have to secure a court reporter too. And this
I
is
know
gonna be
Friday
done.
I'm available right now, anytime, just about.
Well, we just say Thursday at 2 or 1, and same thing for Friday.
Okay. Yeah. So 1:30,
1:30 is fine.
1:30,
What
either
is it?
Thursday or
Thursday
Friday.
or Friday.
Luann, I know we've been meeting with you with that.
We don't have anything on for this week, so that's good.
Mr. McKinney,
Yes,
either,
that's good.
either of those 2 days,
So Thursday or Friday,
1:30.
1:30.
And
Do you need a motion?
are you gonna look at those 2 dates and make a decision on which one?
So I have to confirm with the court reporter.
Okay,
Okay.
well, just your motion can be set an executive committee.
Set an executive meeting for either Thursday at 1:30 or Friday at 1:30, contingent upon the availability of the court reporter.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion?
It'd be better for me.
Okay. Thursday would be better for Commissioner Crutchfield. Any other questions, clarifications? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Luann, anything from you?
No, but I did see, Mr. Dalal raising his hand.
We'll go through the roundtable with commissioners, and I'll come back to you, Chopin. Mr. Peacock?
Yes, Mr. Rhett. Mill Pond, grass, what's going on? other than it's growing?
So I spoke with, texted, emailed, I can't recall right now, with Derek last week and the, what he said. He reached out on the 14th to the research team to conduct a dye study and he has not heard back from them.
So
So
the
they
dye,
haven't done the dye study? Oh, God.
so they have not done the dye study as of now.
To my knowledge, as of today.
It'll be head high by the time they get
Hmm.
the dye study done. Oh, you saw them? Oh, okay, all right. Can you
Anything?
follow up on it?
Sure thing. And some activity you might have seen last week, they got some reports from some property owners of tilapia in the pond. So the fisheries biologists were out doing a survey for that reason.
I didn't check somebody in their car, and I stressed it in one car, it's right? It's simple. Everybody's simple. And the thing, remember, we started that. Don't get your hands to say, how manatees and a pool. Put your sign up over here about Crestview. You want to hear about Tallahassee with a billboard with a pontoon boat and a gal with a bikini on it, y'all come see the manatee and be an economic boom for the people who come look at it. And just like cows in a pasture, when they raise too many and food gets short, remove some of those that they raise. Number of dollars, you grass it. What happens to a parasite when its host is removed? It goes away. Same way with algae bloom on the eel path. Manatees love eel.
That's been talked about before.
I brought it up and nobody was here.
They,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
yeah, there has been discussions about that, Carl, and you're right, it would work. But then you got to restrict the boats on the mill pond. You will have to fight all the people around the mill pond or the people that use that, because you can't be running
Have
those.
big shell cracker and pretty pond and use restrictions with a 3 or 5 horsepower motor or electric motors, or you won't have this problem. You got, which one you want to do?
I understand.
Which one?
There's actually more to it than that. Since the manatees are protected and the mill pond is a closed basin, they would not have an outlet to maneuver their normal cycle out into the Gulf. The state won't entertain it at all.
Okay. Anything else, Commissioner Pickett?
Yeah, Jeffrey. When's the excavator going to be available to start digging ditches? What's that boy doing? Well, Johnny's a good worker. I need him in District 5 as soon as you can get him available while it's dried up a little. Get in there and clean out that old ditch. Rhett, Howell's Landing,
Yes, sir.
where are we on that?
So we submitted, under our legislative appropriations list for this year. And, I'll be applying once more for the, FWC FPIP program that's coming up next month.
Have you been down there and looked at that?
Pretty yes.
Could we go up on top of that, kind of up on that hill, clean that off, level it off, and make some more parking available for those people?
Dirt
Now,
parking.
I was down there this weekend and it's getting filled up.
Oh, yeah. So go ahead. and
But you
clear
could go up
dirt
on that,
parking.
not right at the edge of the parking lot, just go a little ways up.
Yeah, it
It's
flattens out a little bit up there.
It's flat area, clean it up, and then grass it. Those boys pull up in there and park.
Okay.
Take a look at it and let me know what you come up with. That's all I've got.
Commissioner Branch. Mr. Crutchfield, Commissioner McKinney. Clay, Tony, Chopin. Come on up.
The same question.
about the road name, where we at.
Road
My
name,
application- Yeah, my application was made, there wasn't any ordinance that time. Why it should not get treated same way as it got treated other applications? Now, not why me. It's too much time, 3 months, 6 meetings, I believe.
Wendy, if you don't mind, would you come up and address Mr. Chopin's comments?
So currently, we have a draft addressing ordinance under review
Okay.
with legal. And once we get that, then we will bring it to the planning commission for their recommendations to the board. And then we will bring it before the board for their recommendations, and then it would go before a public hearing.
So you think that you'll have the draft to the P and Z board at their next meeting?
Not necessarily, we're waiting to get that back, it's under review.
Who's reviewing it? Oh, you are, okay. So certainly you'd have it in front of the P and Z board at their March meeting, I guess at their April meeting.
As long as we have enough time to advertise, it will go, once we receive it, we have to have enough time to advertise, and it would go at the earliest possible meeting with the planning commission.
That gives you kind of a timeline on getting that draft ordinance done.
I understand. When I applied, there wasn't any ordinance. So whatever ordinance will be applied, from which date? Back date? Because of me or because of my application? Or when you're gonna pass the ordinance? My application is 90 days old, I believe. I'm not sure about the date. There wasn't any ordinance that time, but I'm on a hold. I don't understand any reason for it. Just a private road without any name. I'm not renaming any no. Oh, it's my road, private road, unnamed road. I'm just trying to name my private road. And I'm on a hold long time. I surely believe that.
Mr. Chopin, have you decided what you're going to do with that property?
Does it matters to this application?
It could, but I understand what you're saying. And I was just wondering, because the last time you were in here, you said you were going to develop it.
Couple of things. I don't think anything should go against my application. I'll be very honest with you. I don't have a problem sharing with you. But I sold a land for mitigation purpose to Florida Rock people. They have submitted a plan with the state. They are pumping $2 million just to mitigate that land. If I allow them to pass or whatever, if I have a legal name, it's gonna help me. I may make some documentation with them and everything. I'm gonna hold, Mr. Peacock. It's
So you would-
simple, in my opinion, this is a very simple thing.
So
But
you,
in my opinion, I'm not a legal person because county has power. So many applications, so many road names I see everywhere. I don't know whether they come here and ask for permission or they just have their name. I'm not sure about those things. But I believe to go make everything legal, go follow the law. That's what I'm trying. It doesn't mean I should get punished. Or
so what
get
you're
jailed.
telling me is that you have sold the mitigation rights to this property and you need
Not this property. I had a big lot.
behind it.
Behind it, the big pond, which was used to be a mine. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that area, 40 acre, I have sold it. Yes, sir.
And you need the road named, is that what you're saying?
My private road.
Well, I
want
know, I
to
understand
name
that,
it.
but I thought you just said that as part of that process.
That's why I don't want county commissioner or county clubbing together, but there are so many things possible there. Yes. I need that name. It could help me for sure.
I think, I may be wrong, but I think one time you came before, the reason that was denied, it had something to do with the safety of an emergency 911 or fire. Because you want to have that road name. The ones that we give variance to has already got their road and address is already named. And you gotta go, have to, it has to be, if you named it, I mean, it's gotta be put on, so whenever you had a 911 call, they'll be able to pick it up. The 911 or emergency people will know where to go. If it ain't already in the system, you know, it's gotta be put in the system where it can work, or, you know, they ain't gonna know where to go. I think it may be a hold up on that. That part.
Mr. Daniel, your employee, county employee or sheriff of department's office say something, not
The
me.
address right now is 71, isn't it?
Yeah.
The address now is 71, isn't it? Highway 71.
Highway 71 for what?
No, that's not Highway 71.
It is on Highway 71, that's right.
I thought it was-
But that
on
road
Highway
belongs
71.
to me in my lot,
That road, your drive comes off of Highway 71.
correct? But it's my private drive.
See, your address is, if you had a 911 call, that address would pop up at 71. But if you change it until they can get it in the system, you couldn't, they wouldn't know where to go if the address come up on that particular drive.
I agree. And
Yeah.
that can be with everywhere, not just my private land or road, right? We just realized that. You saying that? I don't know what you're trying to convey me. County just realized that, you saying that? I don't know. what's going on.
I think the intent of the board was to wait till we get this policy written so that we can make sure that whatever we do complies with that. I know it takes some time to get that policy done, but we're just saying, be patient and let us get that. It's in the process of being developed. It's being reviewed by legal. It'll go to planning and zoning, and then it'll come to us. And once we have that in place, then we'll know, you know, in order to comply with that, we'll know how to proceed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in all due respect, his request predates our ordinance, so the ordinance is not going to pertain to him.
Is that true?
He just said his request is 90 days old. We can't make it retroactive. Not legally, you can do it, but you'll get in trouble.
What's the action that you want to take then?
I made a motion last time that we go ahead and just name it Dalal Way and be finished with it.
Name it Dalal Way?
Is it- was it
Dalal-
Way or-
My request was Dalal Street, but county was saying.
You want to make another
Lane.
motion?
Make a motion.
And they said that's okay. They
Dalal-
said if you want to
Dalal
lay
Way.
okay.
Right,
I'm
right.
not trying to,
Lane, Dalal
that's
Lane,
fine.
Dalal Lane.
And I was stuck in that.
Got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, second from Commissioner McKinney. Just to be clear, it's to go ahead and name that road that he's talking about, Dalal Lane.
Right.
I got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing
I
none.
don't have a problem with that, but the problem that I do have is, because I know, Charlie Bruin come up to the podium and he addressed the deal with a 911 call. And it has to be, I don't know, takes certain lengths of time. I don't know the process to get it in. So if he had a 911 call, they wouldn't know where to go. His address is already listed now.
Right.
But if it changed, it's not gonna be listed. I don't know if that's.
They
a problem
will-
or not.
Doesn't this automatically start that process though?
Mr. Matt.
I think the concern would be, in that respect, would be, just once it goes through that E911 system, that'll clear that up. I think Charlie's concern would be, you don't want to just name a road, put a sign up. You may duplicate an exact private road. And so that's where the E911 process is clear.
Okay.
And I don't think that in this particular case, there is another road named, I mean, it'd be easy to find out whether there's another road named Dalal Lane, wouldn't it? Huh?
I wouldn't know.
No, I mean, yeah, so.
Unique name for Jackson
All right,
County.
that's a question I have.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, clear about
Yeah,
that.
speaking of, I think that their process in the E911 system would apply to the best.
All right.
All right.
Okay, got a motion from Commissioner Peacock, a second from Commissioner McKinney. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, please signify by raising the right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, you got that building built
I'm building so many buildings, which is,
out on 10th Avenue?
engineers working,
Okay,
276.
attorneys working. And if I get help like Chick-fil-A, I'm repeating, I may break the ground within 60.
Mr. Chairman,
All right, anything else?
I did have one, I should have already said that you all received notification over the weekend that one of our EMT firefighters passed away over the weekend unexpectedly. Brian Grindy, and just want to say that we're really sorry. We'll be sharing our condolences with the family on behalf of the board, but wanted to publicly recognize it.
Have you done anything from the board like flowers or something like that?
No, but we do have a link I'll share with you all if you'd like to, that they're taking gift cards and different kinds of donations. They're collecting them. I'll share that with you all if you have any interest in participating.
I'll just give you some cash after the meeting.
Anything else? Hearing nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn this regular scheduled meeting of the board. Thank you, everybody.
Here.